for the audience. You have a rather unique sex scene, or shall I say, kind of non-sex scene in your film. And I'm curious to know how that came about, why you designed it as that way specifically.
이게 뭐 짜릿한 에로틱한 장면을 하기 위한 것이라기보다는 어떻게 보면 이 영화의 전체 흐름과 관련이 있죠. 그러니까 타인의 사생활을, 특히 이제 가난한 자와 부자가 가까운 거리에서 이렇게 서로 같은 공간에 있게 될 경우가 별로 없는데, 뭐 비행기에서도 예를 들면 뭐 퍼스트 클래스랑 이코노미 클래스 나뉘듯이, 근데 이 영화에서는 가난한 자와 부자가 되게 밀접하게 서로 냄새를 맡을 정도로 가까이 접근하는 게 되는 상황이잖아요. 영화가 튜터고 뭐 하우스키퍼고, 그래서 그런 상황이 어떤 제일 정점에 있는 거죠. 그 섹스 씬이. 그래서 그들이 섹스를 하는 것 자체보다는 그걸 할 때 바로 밑에 이 가난한 가족들이 테이블 밑에 있다는 거, 그 어떤 강력한 압박감, 텐션, 그게 제일 중요했던 것 같아요.
So that scene wasn't really in the film for the thrill or the erotic feeling of it. It really has to do more with the overall flow of the film. It's really about looking into the private lives of others. In reality, it's very rare for the rich and poor to come so close to each other that they can smell one another. Usually, they occupy different spaces, like in the planes, it's first class and economy class, so they're always separated. But in this film, you have situations where they come very close to one another through tutoring or housekeeping and driving, and that sex scene is sort of on the pinnacle of that intimacy, that strange intimacy. It's not really about the sex, it's about the family that's hiding under the table and peeping at that very intimate part of their private lives. So I thought that it would give a really powerful sense of tension in the film.
Let's throw it out to the audience. Now we have 5 different theaters simulcast, so if someone has a question, I will repeat it into the microphone before we get an answer. So, who has a question? I see one right over here.
After the scene where you revealed the Morse code, I noticed a lot of other lights kind of flashing in and out. Were there any other hidden codes?
So the question is, after the scene, the Morse code scene, the lights, are there any other hidden codes in the film like that?
일단 사실은 모르스 부호 자체가 사실은 뭐랄까, 처음 영화 시작할 때 와이파이 액세스를 하려고 막 하면서 와이파이 신호를 찾으면서 시작하는데, 영화가 끝날 때는 일단 아버지랑 아들이 모르스 코드로 서로 의사소통을 하니까 그거 자체에서 오는 컨트라스트나 의미가 일단 있는 것 같고요. 네.
So the film begins with the protagonist searching for the Wi-Fi signal, and the film ends with the father and son communicating with each other through Morse code. So I think there's a strange contrast that comes from that.
그리고 뭐 코드라고 할 수 있을지 모르겠지만 그 돌 있잖아요, 돌. 그 산수경석이라는데 그 돌을 우리가 어떻게 받아들여야 될지에 따라 영화가 또 여러 가지 느낌이 될 수 있을 것 같아요. 돌만 따라가면서 영화를 봐도 돌의 경로만 따라서 그것도 재밌을 것 같긴 한데요.
So I don't know if you can call this a secret code, but I think the Scholar's Rock is pretty significant. Depending on how you interpret it, you can have various interpretations of the film, and even if you just follow the stone and see where it goes, you can get a general understanding of the film.
그리고 마지막에 보면 칼이 나오잖아요. 이게 좀 스포일링이긴 하지만 어쨌든 그 찌르는 칼을 보면 그 칼이 누구의 손에서 누구의 손으로 이동하나, 그 칼만 또 따라가 보면은 그게 또 영화의 어떤 주제랑 관련된 느낌도 있어요. 그 칼이 어떤 보더라인을 넘는 그 순간이 있거든요.
And also, if you follow the blade, the knife at the end, if you follow whose hands the knife ends up in, it really connects to the overall theme of the film as well. There's one moment in the film where the knife sort of breaks through the boundaries.
Any more questions? Can't see, but okay. And I have really bad hearing, so please enunciate loudly and clearly.
I was just wondering if you ever had a service industry job or friends who still have service industry
So the question is if Director Bong has ever had an experience in the service industry, as the film seems to have a lot of empathy for those characters.
서비스 인더스트리라고 할 수 있을지 모르는데 제가 대학교 때 이제 과외를 많이 했어요. 저도 저 부잣집에 가서 과외를 한 경험이 많이 있어요. 저 영화 처음 보면 이제 아들이 문이 착 열리면서 들어가는 저도 그런 집에 가서 과외를 해본 적이 있는데요. 네.
I don't know if you can call this working in the service industry, but when I was in college, I tutored for several rich families at the time, and I clearly remember how it felt when I opened the gates to the house and you see the son in this film doing the same.
그 집 그 중학생 요만한 아들이 있었는데 자기들 저를 이렇게 2층으로 데려가더니 집에 사우나가 있는 걸 보여주더라고요. 프라이빗 사우나가 집에 있다. 그걸 되게 그때 보고 내가 놀랐던 그런 기억이 나요. 영화에서도 사우나가 잠깐 나오죠.
And I was teaching a middle school boy, and I remember him taking me to the second floor of the house and showing me the private sauna that they had in the house, and he and I remember being very shocked to see it.
But he was very proud of it. We have a private sauna in my house, and 그러고 나 2달 있다가 이제 잘렸죠. 해고됐는데.
And I was fired after 2 months.
뭐 대학 다니까 학교 저도 학생 때 이제 아르바이트를 많이 했던 것 같아요. 학교 식당에서 일해본 적도 있고.
I had a lot of part-time jobs when I was in school. I worked in the school cafeteria.
그런 일들도 이제 학생들끼리 좀 경쟁이 많았었죠. 그런 자리 그 일거리 자리가 나오면은 여러 학생들이 다 그 자리를 한번 차지하려고.
But a lot of the students often competed for those open slots with those job positions.
Are there any questions further back? I can't see very well. Bright lights here.
I have a question here.
Right there.
My question would be about there's such a delineation between the classes in this film that are so absolutely beautiful, and it's about the daughter and her humanity and her connection to a lower class. My question would be, is that seemed like a real love connection, but also a real understanding of a class that she was not from. So I just wanted to comment on that.
You mean that the high school daughter?
Yes.
The rich house. Yeah.
So the question is about the high school daughter and about how her connection and how she feels if she's feeling some kind of empathy for the
Exactly.
for the people coming in.
그 고나이 또래 어떤 소녀로서의 어떤 특징, 그러니까 마음이 많이 열려 있고 그런 면도 있고 동시에 또 그 장면 기억하실 거예요. 나 여기 어울려?라고 질문했을 때 주인공이 그 서브타이틀 어떻게 돼 있죠? Do I 약간 fit? 그 장면에서 보면은 그 질문을 했을 때 그 하이스쿨 그 여고생 애가 전혀 뭐 이러는데 그 전혀 이해를 못하는 얼굴이거든요. 그러니까 그 두 가지 면이 동시에 있어요. 아직 너무 순진하고 그 부잣집의 울타리 밖의 세상은 잘 모를 것 같단 말이죠. 네.
So as just a teenage girl of her age, she has a pretty open mind. And in the scene where Kyu asks her if I fit in this rich house during the birthday party, she just nods immediately. And it's very obvious that she doesn't really understand Kyu's question. And you can tell that she's very naive and that she hasn't really gone out of the fence of her rich house.
그런 건 있는 것 같아요. 뭐랄까 이 둘의 그 관계가 사실은 특히 그 아들 관점에서 보면 그 아들이 사실 그 민혁이라고 서브타이틀에는 민이라고 나오는데 그 남자의 흉내를 계속 내거든요. 똑같은 말을 하고 뭐.
So from the son's perspective, to see their relationship from the son's perspective, you see Kyu imitating Min very often in the film. His friend, you see him repeating the things that Min has said.
그거를 뭐 무슨 리플리 증후군처럼 그렇게 무슨 너무 뭐 단순화시켜서 얘기할 수는 없겠지만은.
I don't think you can simplify that into just describing him as having like a Ripley syndrome.
근데 그 민이 하는 말을 계속 흉내내고 그 민이 그 여고생애를 좋아한다고 했는데 그 대사까지 비슷하게 해서 또 그 여자애를 사귀려 든단 말이야. 그게 어떻게 보면 이 남자 주인공이 계속되는 심리인 것 같아 영화 속에서. 그 민이 하는 말을 계속 흉내내고 그래서 그 민이 좋아하는 여자애도 괜히 자기가 더 그걸 진짜 사랑이라고 할 수 있을지는 잘 모르겠어요 사실.
So he constantly imitates Min, and of course, as Min had feelings for the high school girl, he says almost the exact same thing as he tries to ask her out. And so I think that's something that continues within that character's psychology throughout the film. He likes the girl that Min liked, and I don't really know if you can call that true love.
Thank you for that wonderful question. I see a phone in the back there.
I'm just curious, besides a lot of levels in the park home, which was kind of a character itself, I'd like to hear more about his design choices for that home, since there's a lot of ways you could portray a wealthy home.
So the question is about what were the design choices that went into the rich family's home?
그 처음 이제 그 부잣집 세트 만들 때부터 제가 요구 사항이 좀 많았었어요. 시나리오 쓸 때 이미 여러 가지 구조들을 좀 스케치를 했었기 때문에 이게 딱 정해진 어떤 구조가 아니면 도저히 스토리텔링이 불가능하게끔 되어 있거든요. 스크립트 자체가.
So ever since, even since we began building the set for the rich house, I had a lot of requests. I already had a basic sketch of the house structure in mind when I was writing the script. Without that certain structure, it was almost impossible to tell the narrative.
누군가 이쪽에서 얘기할 때 이쪽에서 그게 안 보여야 되고 숨어서 엿볼 수 있어야 되고 현관에서 계단이 어떻게 보여야 되고 그런 필요 사항들이 있었어요. 그래서 그거를 기본적 스트럭처를 요구를 했었고요.
So there are a lot of things that were necessary for the story in terms of the structure. If some characters are talking here, another character had to eavesdrop or peek, and you had to be able to see the staircase through the front door, and so there were these several requirements that I had.
근데 이제 미술 감독은 또 실제 아키텍트, 실제 건축가랑 또 상담을 어드바이스를 받아가면서 이 디자인을 했단 말이죠. 그러니까 제가 요구한 이런 구조를 가서 얘기를 하면 그 건축가가 이제 아니 어떤 바보가 집을 이렇게 절대 실제 집을 이렇게 짓지 않는다. 그래서 말을 듣고 이제 저한테 오면 저는 또 이거대로 해달라고 하고 그래서 중간에서 아키텍트 중간에서 이 프로덕션 디자이너가 고생을 많이 했어요. 양쪽 요구를 다 들어야 되니까.
And so the production designer actually sought out advice from actual architects to build this house. And so the production designer would take my request to the actual architect, and the architect would be like, what kind of idiot would build houses this way? No one builds houses this way. And so the architect would come back to me with those comments, and I would still have all these things that I requested from him, and so he really suffered between me and the architect.
최종적으로는 잘 아름답게 만들어줬어요 집을. 내가 원하는 그 구조, 블로킹 라인도 다 해주면서 되게 힘든 잡이었고 이제 또 하나의 힘든 일은 그 가난한 동네였어요. 가난한 주인공 그 집이랑 그 동네 전체가 다 세트거든요.
But ultimately, the house came out beautifully. I was able to achieve all this, to get all the structure and the blocking that the story required. And another thing that was difficult was the poor house and the neighborhood surrounding that house. They were also all sets that we built.
거기 홍수 물을 집어넣어야 되기 때문에 그 거대한 수영장 같은데 그 세트를 다 만들었어요. 그래서 촬영하고 마지막 날에 이제 구조물을 투입한 거죠.
So because we had to flood the entire neighborhood, we built it in a giant swimming pool, a water tank. And on the last day of shooting, we poured in sewage water.
No, it looks dirty water. Very clean water for the actors and.
Very safe. There were no issues on the problem on the set of this film.
It had the face masks in the water, like mud face masks. Very healthy and good for your skin.
All right, that was a great question. Do we have any others? I see one right over there.
What inspired you originally to tell this story about class, and why do you think telling these types of stories is important?
The question is, what originally inspired you to tell the story about class, and where did the inspiration come for that?
제가 뭐 프로파간다 영화를 만들고 싶은 것도 아니고 정치적인 주제를 늘 고민하면서 하루하루 사는 사람은 물론 아닌데요.
I never intend to create a propaganda film. I don't really think about these deep political issues on a day-to-day basis.
근데 이 클래스 계급 또는 계층이라는 이 문제가 사실 뭐 되게 일상적인 일인 것 같아요. 우리 주변에 사실 다 있잖아요. 뭐 친척 중에도 되게 가난한 친척이 있고 부자 친척이 있고 친구들도 마찬가지고 우리 주변에 실제로 그런 사람들이 있단 말이야. 또 그들이 가진 또 독특한 개개인들의 캐릭터가 있고 그런 식으로 자연스럽게 저는 접근을 했던 것 같고요.
But I think the issue of class is something that surrounds us in our daily lives. We all have friends and cousins and family members who are either poor or rich. And so there are people we can actually see in our real lives, and all of them as individuals have their own unique characteristics. So it's very natural.
그래서 뭐 그 뭐야 조던 필레 어스나 또 코레다 히로카즈 영화에서도 그런 비슷한 상황들이 나오지만 저뿐 아니라 많은 크리에이터들이 이제 그런 자연스럽게 이 거대한 자본주의의 세계에서 하루하루 살면서 우리가 실제 눈으로 보고 냄새 맡고 경험하는 일들을 그렇게 자연스럽게 표현하게 되는 것 같아요. 이런 그러니까 클래스에 대한 얘기를 뭐 안 하면 오히려 그게 더 이상할 것 같달까? 전 되게 자연스러운.
And so films like Us by Jordan Peele and Shoplifters by Hirokazu, they all explore similar themes. And I think a lot of contemporary artists also talk about class and explore these issues because we all live in this capitalistic system. Every day within the system we watch, we smell, and we feel and we experience. So I think as artists it's very natural for us to express these things. I think it would actually be more strange to not explore this issue of class.
Okay, we have time for one very short little question left, and I will ask you to remain in your seats afterwards. We have a very special announcement after this question. So, one last question. I see one right at the back over there.
How did you choose the title of Parasite, and what to you is the meaning of it?
I guess the question is about the meaning, the interpretation of the title Parasite.
그 뭐 패러사이트란 제목 때문에 이제 해외 쪽에서는 좀 오해를 많이 받았어요. 이게 무슨 사이파이 영화거나 어떤 것으로 그 또 제가 호스트란 영화 만들었기 때문에 이제 그거에 무슨 시퀄처럼 오해하는 분도 있었고요.
So because of the title, a lot of people in the international community mistook this film as a sci-fi film, particularly because I did the host, so it felt like a sequel to that film.
Actually,
근데 한국에서는
it's a
이
neon
제목이
release. I'd almost
말
guarantee it's a
그대로
Mondo
패러사이트
poster.
그 뜻 그대로인데 기생충인데 한국에서는 그게 좀 더 뭐랄까
You look at
위험한 제목, 마케팅 팀들이 이제 좀 두려워하는 제목. 이게
Probably.
그 기생충이라는 단어가 가진 약간 현실적이고 부정적인 뉘앙스 같은 게 있거든요. 그래서 좀 고민을 많이 했었던 제목이고요.
But in Korea, this title Parasite was considered almost a little risky and dangerous. Particularly, the marketing team was pretty hesitant because in Korea, the word parasite has a very realistic and sort of negative connotation.
사실 가난한 가족이 부잣집으로 스며들어가니까 그 사실은 되게 누가 봐도 이게 가난한 사람들을 기생충이라고 지칭하는 것처럼 되니까 거기서 오는 좀 두려움은 있었던 것 같아요. 근데 저는 뭐 뿐만 아니라 반대로 뒤집어 생각하면 부자들도 이 영화의 부자들도 기생충이다. 노동의 측면에서 보면 자기들이 운전도 못하고 자기들이 설거지도 못하고 그 막 가난한 사람들의 노동을 이제 이렇게 빨아먹으면서 살고 있으니까 그 반대도 마찬가지인 거다. 그런 식으로 마케팅 팀한테 설명을 해줬던 기억이 납니다.
Because the story is about the poor family infiltrating and creeping into the rich house, it seems very obvious that parasite refers to the poor family. And I think that's why the marketing team was a little hesitant. But if you look at it the other way, you can say that the rich families, they're also parasites in terms of labor. They can't even wash dishes, they can't drive themselves, so they leech off of the poor family's labor. So both are parasites.
All right, thank you for your questions. Please take time after those. And now, if I don't see him, I'd like to welcome someone to the stage.
Right behind you.
Ah, there he is! Tim Lee, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Now that we've caught up, I want to tell these folks, well, first of all, it is a huge honor to have you back in Austin, Texas with such a masterful film. And one of the reasons why we exist as a community is to share the movies we love with as many people as possible. So you guys all have a job out there, is to spread the word, shout the gospel from the mountaintops that this is an amazing film that everybody needs to see, including my mother. I'm going to take my mom to see this. But that's not really the message. I want to invite you all to stand, and we're going to exit sort of in a conga line out this door, because we have a very special surprise that's going to change the history of this theater forevermore. There's going to be a toast, there's going to be a celebration, and all of you are invited. Come.